Amazing. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at practice payroll problem number 3. Excuse me for my raspy voice for those listening. Probably not so attractive. And we're starting, I believe, with the gross pay or the net paycheck, which is different, right? We're starting with the net of 30 and 22.5. Did we not have set? Okay. Okay. So when you have a spreadsheet where everything's linked, it's easy. You just shift stuff. So I believe that Joe and Sally have both capped, right? So the first thing I do is I go and I make my list of all of my taxes. And I would encourage you to write all of these down just so that you think about them. So you might not have all of them, but you want to prompt yourself, right? Is there OSDN? Is there SIP? Is there the extra 0.9? So I went ahead and wrote all those down. And it looks like they are paying 24.35%, right, of their net of their gross. And I think they should both be the same, shouldn't they?
She doesn't have that supplemental.
She didn't get to the .009. She hasn't earned that. Okay, so she is 1 minus F8 minus F11. So her net was 76.55% and his was 75.65. So to get to the gross, we divide the net by the percentage. Okay? So 30,000 divided by 75.65, 22.5 divided by 76.55. Is everyone with me? Takes you to the gross. Amanda, you guys do that. What did you do? These are different? Oh, okay, so -1. I mean, that's not going to be great if you're actually doing this payroll, but for purposes of academia, it's like I missed a decimal point. Just FYI, because that's not an unusual thing to do, and when we practice our 940 today, we're using 0.6% as a percentage. 0.6% is 0.006 in your calculator. You always go 2 to the left. Correct, not right. 2 decimal points to the left. Anyways, so those are the grosses. The beauty in this is you can prove yourself out, can't you? How do you do that, Jen? How do you prove that you got the right gross?
Subtract everything. Like
You just multiply that gross by each of the tax rates, and it's got to come out nice and neat to the net, right? So, oh, she doesn't have that. So these technically then should be now that's okay. I don't want to subtract that last one. Oh, this is telling me I've got a continuous. Why is that a problem? That isn't a. This is a circular reference issue, and I don't see. Oh, because, okay, let me just explain what's going on in Excel. Whenever you get one of those weird blue lines, it means you have a circular reference. So you're referring to a cell that's already being used to calculate. And this guy was calculated based on this, so it's not liking that. So let's just get rid of that completely. How am I checking the math here then? That doesn't come down to 22.5. Oop, this didn't get changed, did it? There we go. Does that look better? Looks like I'm still $17 off. Please.
So I got confused, so I ended up Googling for assistance. And I know, but long story short, so the way I did it is completely different, but I still ended up with 30,000 and 22.5 regardless for my end answers.
Well, what's important is that your grosses are correct.
Well, because my grosses don't equal that, because what they told me was you take what tax bracket they were in, and you add the taxes into it to get the total percentage.
But we're not doing that. We're using a supplemental rate.
Okay.
We're using the 22%. That's what we're practicing. So, because remember, there's two ways. You can either add it with your existing paycheck and use existing tax bracket, or you can use the flat. And this we're practicing the flat.
Okay, so I didn't do it that way then.
Go ahead. I've got an issue here though that I need to solve. One more time.
On salaries, the HI regular.
Okay, so Joe works out perfect. Thank you. And you're thinking this is,
I got both at 619.
oh, now it's perfect. Okay, great. So this is correct. Josh, your issue was that you were using the other method, and that's not what we're doing on this one.
Okay, by the way, I'm happy I got it right, so I got the right answers, so I'm okay with that.
You didn't get it right unless you got those grosses.
Well, with the other way, I got the right answer.
But that's not the way to do it.
Well, I know, but I'm saying at least I did, at least I got that comprehended properly.
Okay.
Might have done the wrong method, but hey, at least I got that method
Okay.
right.
So, just to use this as a learning tool, what Josh is talking about, do you understand what we're talking about? The other method is adding it onto your paycheck. And honestly, doesn't he make like $800,000 or something?
Mm-hmm.
So his upper marginal bracket's gonna be 37%.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna be in the probably,
24%.
she's in the 24%. So that's a great illustration. Neither of them are in the 22% bracket. So neither of them in this method are getting enough taken out. They're gonna,
And that's what the site had said. It was a tax site, and it's like you're not getting taken out enough, so they don't really rely on that. So it's best to do it this way. So I was like, okay, I'm just
and you
confused. So I
can't
did
do
it
it this
that
way, but if you're, so from a realistic standpoint, if you're sitting at a desk and you're bonusing out 100 people,
You just
you have to go to every single one of their salary fields
remember we talked about
and
that.
change it. And then you've got to go and change it back.
Mhm.
So if I'm processing, and I've got 100 people to do, I'm gonna have a supplementary setup and just go make one entry,
Mhm.
which is the bonus. And do the flat.
Mhm.
But what you're saying can happen. Okay, so then, and I'll tell you the points in a sec. So then I went and I did the 941 deposit. H12. I don't think so. It looks like I got 575 plus 426 plus 575 plus 426, and then this 356.91. Do you match that? Is that matched? No. So here's what I think the points are. So there's 2 points if you got the HI right. +2, that's nice. So there's 4 points in the in here. you got a point each for these because that meant you got this right, right? So if you got the 75.65 and the 76.55%, those are plus 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'll put those. Okay. So everything in red is a point, and that comes to 12.
And you said that if we messed up something on this side, so that.
So you're not going to get this point.
Okay.
You're not going to get that point. And you're not going to get the bonus point. If you did everything else right, you got 10 out of 12. Questions on grading? Please ask. This would be easy to screw up on because you just grabbed the HI number and doubled it, rather than recognizing that you don't match the 356.91. Go ahead. Well, there's 4 points. So this is the last of our payroll practice problems. The intention of these is to bring together everything that we've learned. Because one of the outcomes from this class is that you can actually do a payroll and make a deposit. So, please tell me what you got. Put your name on it and pass them over this way. I'm going to put this on Moodle right now and open it up so that if you want to see it, go ahead, please, Greg. Do it now. Yeah, because I'm going to post the answer now. Okay, so I think the next thing we should work on sorry, I just want to post this new key problem. Here we go. Is the 940s. So in order to do that, we're going to need to get a couple things on our desk like we did when we did the 941. I think that you're going to need to open, well, so you need to get your actual 940s, pencil, calculator. You're going to want to pull up on your screen off of Moodle. Remember we worked with this as payroll registers. That's where we get the data. So I think that it's going to be easiest if you pull that up on your own screen in front of you. The banner and the sure value. And we will start with banner drug. Thank you. Y'all are going to have a blank 940 in front of you. And then you should take out a piece of paper and turn it landscape. And I'm going to put worksheet up on the flex cam so that you can see that. Remind me to get you back your quizzes too before we leave. Give me a prompt. If you would please, about 10 minutes before class ends. So what we need to do, let's just kind of go over what the 940 is. What is the 940?
It's pretty much a 941 is for small companies, though, right? For small businesses.
No, it's for FUTA, which is what we're going to be studying in chapter 5. So FICA FIT went on the 940. We're moving into chapter 5. We're going to be studying FUTA. I'm going to lecture on that today. But I just wanted to do some hands-on work so that you know where we're kind of going with this. So, and it's right up on the name of it. Right? Employer's annual federal unemployment tax return. What percentage is FUTA? Remember that from the first couple weeks? 0.6%. I don't. I think there's some of your book what's the cap? 7,000. And employee and employer, or both, or even just employer. So it's a really small tax. 0.6% of $7,000 per person a year is only $42.
And that changed at all, this volatility.
It has. It was 0.8 for a really long time, and I got rolled back to 0.6. There's some things that we're going to learn about that can change that 0.6, but for our purposes in here, we're going to just do the simple like 101 version. So our rate is going to stay at 0.6. But when I lecture on this chapter, you'll see that there are a few things that can actually change that 0.6. But we're not going to do. What we do know is that we have to figure out how much the person or the employer is paying per quarter, because once my people get to $7,000, I stop having to pay FUTA. So what I'd like you to do on your piece of paper is to set up a chart. And again, obviously, in the real world, you're not going to be doing this. Your software is going to do all this for you. But again, you have to be able to review it, which is why I make you do this by hand. So what I want you to do to start, based on the spreadsheet that we have, that payroll register, is to list the employees down the side and calculate their gross wages by quarter. So let's do one together. So here's our spreadsheet. And if I was clever, I'd know how to do a split screen. Anyone know how to do that easily for me? One more time.
You should just be able to drag my screen to the corner.
Drag my screen to the corner.
Well, you can pull it down from the bottom, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
actually, like, hit it very, yes.
Okay, and then how do I get this guy to be a half
Do
seat?
the same thing.
On the top of this one?
Yeah.
Same right corner?
Yup. Or you can do it right either, and I'll move the other one over to the left.
Okay.
Or do whatever you want, like that.
Oop.
Oh, see, you can get all the way to the left.
So the key is I've got to get it all the way,
Yeah,
okay.
to the side, yeah. And then the other one too, like, you can now move to this.
I see, okay.
Boom.
Gotcha. Beautiful. Does this guy do the same thing? Golden. Okay. Okay, that's got to be something. I like that. Okay, so let's fill in these guys' names over here. And then this is a weekly payroll register. And I tell you how many times they're paid in April, May, and June. So what I want you to do is fill in how much they made. Per quarter, gross wages. And I don't need all the rest of the spreadsheet. If I did, I know how to do it now. It's so cool. So how are you gonna convert this to their quarterly gross? it's a weekly payroll, and down below, you guys have this up on your screen. Down below, I tell you how many paychecks there are per month. Yeah, I did, 13 is the number. Oh, somewhere in there I've got something for quarter, don't I?
You just say it's in the second quarter, you know, something.
Okay. So the second and the fourth quarter are 13, the first and third are 12. That would make sense. So you got, they're paid, no, is that right? No, I'm sorry, no, it's 13 times, no, it's 13 times, 13 times, yeah, period. Sorry, so I don't have to tell you that. Are you with me? If you're paid weekly, say 50 times, 2 times a year divided by 4, right? The reason I gave you the breakdown of the 13 was when we did the 941, you had to know per month. So what I want you to do is fill out this chart. Down to here. It is based on gross. Everything's based on gross. Now, you can see here they've got some overtime. And contrary to anything else, I think this isn't really like realistic, but just pretend that it's the same overtime all the time. Because we've got to just use some number to illustrate my point. But that would really be how it is. Wouldn't you need to figure out the average based on just use the gross pay column. Again, this is more to illustrate how you would review this. You're not actually going to do this in real world setting of your desk. Do I have everybody's number 3? Okay. Okay, so the next question, are you guys done? Are we still working on it? Okay, so let's now, so you've done this for all 4 people, and I'm gonna fill it in, and I just want to get you started on the next step. So now you need to get a different color pencil, or pen, or whatever. Something that's noticeably different. Which I of course don't have. And what we're gonna do now is try and figure out, so, again, I'm gonna finish all this, but the next thing I wanna figure out is how much of the wages I pay per quarter are susceptible to food additives. So, does Creek cap for food additives? 7,000 a year. So obviously he caps. When does he cap? Second quarter. So let's figure out, of his 6591, how much is taxable for FUTA? So pencil that in. How much in the second quarter is taxable for FUTA? It's not the full 6591 because he caps. 409. No? How much of his wages are taxable in the third quarter? None. So once somebody caps, it's all zeros. Please complete that for all 4 people. And then tally up the next line item called FUTA wages. Everyone agree with what I'm doing?
692. Yeah, I was just listening to that.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's 392. No, 292. Thank you. So we're now getting closer. We're going to finish off this little chart, and then we've got all the backup data. We need to go do the 940. So did you guys get 28717? Yeah. What's this, 701? Okay, so basically now we've figured out my gross wages all year. Obviously that needs to tie to my what that I gave the Social Security Administration. That 114,818 ties to my, who do I have to send the Social Security Administration? W3, it's the transmittal for all my W2s, right? You can just be like, and then my food wages should make sense to you. Everybody capped, 7,000 times 4 employees, it's 28 grand. And obviously it's all weighted in the first quarter. If I have employees coming in on the fourth quarter, you know, let's say I hired somebody new in the fourth quarter, it would, you know, wait towards the end. Why am I doing all this? I'm going to show you in a second. So the last 2 lines, or 3 lines, I guess, is our rate, our liability, and our deposit. And basically, you know what the rate is, so you can fill that across. You know that the liability is the wages times the rate, so you can fill that across. And I'm going to tell you the deposit rule. The deposit rule says for FUTA, I don't have to deposit until I get to $500 cumulatively. I don't have to deposit FUTA until I get to $500 cumulatively. And if I don't get there all year, I just send my check in with my 940, the actual tax return. So you've got the information now to finish this.
That rate, do you mean percentage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, there are a few situations where it'll be something other than 0.6, but we're not going to deal with that. The liability is how much you owe per quarter. So how much are you going to owe? Times 7. I'm trying to figure out the liability is like what do you owe? So it's something times something. And it's all just sitting right there in the chart. It's wages times rate. Oh, FUTA wages times rate. How much is susceptible to FUTA? Times the rate.
That's when the liability is how much wages you collected?
The liability is how much FUTA you owe for that quarter.
Oh, so you're saying,
You're just multiplying the FUTA wages times the rate. The deposit rule says you don't deposit, you have to deposit when you deposit your cumulative.
And that's what you said, if you didn't.
If you don't get there all year, you just pay it.
941, right?
940.
Oh, so you just send this form with your income or your?
You send your tax due with the 940. So do I have to deposit during the year? No. Okay.
And I'm sorry, that number you said was 500?
$500, and we'll go through that on the slides. So really now you have this worksheet, you can just dump this all into the 940. So I'm going to pull up my 940 on the screen, but you guys have them hard copy, right? So start by filling out the top. All right, get the top of your 940 filled out. And then let's start plugging in if you look up here top right, this is if you're amending a prior one, if you bought the business from someone else, if you're still alive as a business, you just didn't have any wages last year, or if you stopped paying wages or closed the business. So if any of those describe you, you have to check one of those boxes. Part 1. I'm not going to fill all this in, but you did. If you had to pay state unemployment tax in one state only, enter the abbreviation. If you paid in more than one state, you've got to attach a Schedule A. So, like I'm Elf's Insurance, right? It's a big company in Missoula. They write insurance for malpractice insurance for attorneys, and they operate in like 30 states. Whoever processes their payroll, first off, I have a $100,000 job. It's very complicated, which applies to lots of states. She or he would have to check box 1B and do this big long Schedule A. Also, number 2, if you were in a state that had their SUTA rate, well, this is a little bit more complicated, but I don't want to get into it right now. This is the other situation where your 0.6 would change. But we're not in a credit reduction state. Montana is not a credit reduction state. I'll explain it better later. So for our intents and purposes here, we just fill in box 1A. Go ahead.
So this is a federal unemployment tax.
It is.
And then it doesn't matter, like the person passed 7,000. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they work half a year in one state, half in the other, as
no to that? Good question. So you've got the numbers sitting in front of you. What was my total payment to all employees all year?
Oh, you told me.
Total payment to all employees all year,
$818.
whatever that 114 number was, right? Yeah. Then I'm going to jump down, not to be confusing. I should probably be over here so you can hear me. So I put the 114818 or 868. Can't even read my own writing. That's pathetic. Okay. Let's jump down here. The other number I know is right here. Total taxable food or wages. How much is that? Yep. What does this tell me in line 7? It says total taxable food or wages is line 3 minus line 6. And we've got line 3 and we've got line 7. So can you back into line 6? Please do that.
So what is the payments exactly include the tax? That's-
We're going to go up and do that in just a second. We're going to kind of back into that section. So basically, let's just take a snapshot right here and then I'll wrap this up. I paid my employees $114,868 all year. $28,000 of that is susceptible to FUTA. Therefore, $86,868 of it is not susceptible to FUTA. There's certain groups in here on line 4 that may not be taxable for FUTA because they meet one of these criteria. Does that describe what we're talking about? No. What we're talking about is basically line 5, total payments in excess of $7,000. And lines 4 plus 5 equal line 6, so you can fill in line 5. And I'm just reading that. Lines 4 plus line 5 equals line 6. I'm not gonna make it complicated by giving you anything up here. Therefore, what's my FUTA tax? And then take that all the way down to part 4. Part 3 is beyond our scope. We're not going to have a situation that fits in there. So you can finish filling out the whole front of the 940 now. And this is coming right. Total tax. How much did I deposit? I didn't deposit anything I didn't have to, right? You take that right off of the chart. So I owe $168, right? And based on the instructions, it's saying if line 14 is 500 or less, you may pay with a return. Well, that describes me, doesn't it? Go ahead. It's not, it's a nothing tax. It's a tax that we pay the federal government to make sure that the states are each complying with SUDA laws. So the federal government doesn't handle unemployment, does it? It happens at the state level. But because it was vested as part of the New Deal through the federal government, they're charged with oversight that the states are complying. So this tax is like a little nothing tax to make sure that there's this other layer of bureaucracy to make sure the states are doing what the federal law says. I know, you wish you could just trust people to do what they said they're going to do.
Blockchain,
Huh? A blockchain. That's the answer to everything.
huh?
Okay, don't forget to put your name up here. And your number, whatever it is. Just making one up. Now, here's the whole reason we did that. Part 5. Read the little text there. Tell me if you're going to have an entry. Do we have to put anything in there? No, it's on 16, report the amount of your food tax liability for each quarter. But only if it's more than $500. Sorry, I'm not part 5. Report your food tax liability by quarter if line 12 is more than $500. Is line 12 more than $500?
No.
No, but if it was more than $500, could you just go straight to the little schedule and pull off the liability? That's why we did that. But you don't have to transfer that here because it's not over $500. So really all you're doing here is just going, doing da 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 da. Okay, that's it. We're going to do one more of these together, and you're going to do one on your assignments. And then I'm hoping that you feel good about this. So far, you're responsible for knowing how to do a 941, FICA FIT. That's every quarter. And then this is an annual return. And I'm going to give back the quizzes as well, but this is super duper important that I did, I think it was a week ago today. It is absolutely imperative. Remember that first week of class where I gave you the tax tables? So here's the caps, here's the rates. This is right up there with importance. So you drew this. I think I asked you to draw it while I was drawing it. That's something that, if I was getting ready for a comprehensive final, which is coming up in less weeks than you want to imagine, I would want to know this, and I would want to know those tax tables, and I would probably have those and laminate them. I open the comprehensive final, if you can use anything you want, all resources. Everything but each other, and Google. And believe me, I know if you just went and Googled something, you answered it, because it reads like Google, and you get 0 credit for that. But if you're using your payroll resources, then great.
Wait, how do we Google during the final?
I'm saying you've got open access to everything.
Okay, I was like, wait, what? Why was it? Okay.
You have access to everything except each other and Google.
Okay.
I mean, you do have access to it, but if you answer according to Google, I'll see that you just.
Oh, when is it? I don't remember.
Our final's Friday morning
Friday morning.
at 8 o'clock.
What day?
It is, I believe, May 2nd. think graduation's the 3rd. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
then it's the 3rd.
That's the third,
Sucky
yeah.
time.
Is there any way to possibly take that early? I mean, we can talk about that.
We can talk about that. Yeah, and I'll accommodate people. No problem.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so those are really important. This is all feeding into that. The 940 isn't actually on this, I guess I probably should add it. I didn't talk about it because you didn't know what it was then. Your 4 941s equal your W3. Each quarter, you've got your gross wages, your FIT withholding, your FICA. Obviously, at the end of the year, the sum of those 4 quarters has got to equal the annual. And we now also have learned that you file a 940 on January 31st with the IRS. And your gross wages from your 940 also have to tie to your W3. And if any of these things don't tie, it's just all going to get kicked back out to you guys because that's how the federal government manages payroll taxes, income taxes, etc. Okay. Are we having fun yet?
2 peaks in a hollow.
Okay, let's show this. Wait, let's show this. There we go. And let's take a look at our slides. Stop me in 13 minutes. I'll get back to quizzes. Okay.
I don't see that practice problem on
We probably need to refresh. Did I do it? Oh, sorry, my bad. Show. There we go. Okay, and our PowerPoint. It's right down here. Okay, so I think according to our schedule, on today Wednesday, on Monday, no,
This Tuesday.
Tuesday, we're Tuesday, Thursday. That's fine. On Thursday, your homework's due for chapter 5. And we're going to go over it, and we're going to do another 940 and kind of wrap up chapter 5. And can you guys all remind me, were you all in here and got QuickBooks so that we could get in the sample file? Okay, so this chapter is devoted to unemployment tax. And what we're doing here is talking about FUTA and SUTA, but we're not really going to talk about SUTA here because I want to do our SUTA section to be Montana-centric. And this is generic because this book's sold all over the country. So we're going to talk briefly about it, but your real responsibility for SUTA is going to be in the Montana section. Okay, New Deal, FDR, mid-30s, 38, 35. Part of the New Deal was obviously it revisioned, not revisioned, I guess visioned, what a new world would look like with social safety nets. Prior to that, we know we had none, right? No child labor laws, no overtime, no Social Security, no Medicare, no unemployment, no workers' comp, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. FUTA was part of this. Again, FUTA doesn't do the unemployment. The FUTA and SUTA both come under FUTA, if that makes sense. So what the law actually said is recognizing, even back then, states' rights versus federal rights has long been a point of contention all the way back to the constitutional founding fathers, right? So there's got to be a balance between state and federal government and authority. And the FDR's administration recognized that this was a classic example of something that's going to look different in every state. So they vested the states with the right, the ability to determine and implement and administer what looks best for their individual state. Okay? And you'll see one of the pieces of homework for Wednesday is you have to go find like the state with the highest cap, the state with the widest rates, the state with the highest weekly payouts for unemployment. And it reads like a red versus blue manifesto. States that have more liberal state legislatures are more, there's more weekly payouts. There's higher tax rates. There's higher caps. States that are sort of moderate or middle of the road, states that are really red have tendency to have lower rates, lower caps, lower payouts. And that's one of the reasons that we have states' rights or state programs under a federal umbrella. So again, it's different law in each state. You got to have one. I can't say like, oh, hey, I'm Idaho. We don't want to do it at all. You got to do it. It's got to pass a reasonableness test. In other words, I can't say my unemployment payments are $20 a week, right? It's got to pass a reasonableness test. And that's basically all I got to say about that. Okay, this is all a little like blah, 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 so I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quick. Who's covered under FUTA? Basically, if you're an employer and you pay more than $1,500 a year, or you have anybody come work for you even a day a week in 20 of the 52 weeks in a year, you got to pay FUTA. Okay, so even if I'm really seasonal, it's only if I'm really seasonal and very, very low wage base do I get off from underneath it. So once a year, I have you come up to Dixon and help me harvest my melons for 2 days, right? And I run a payroll, and I pay you like $800. Thanks. I couldn't have gotten these melons, and they need to come in 48 hours, right? Everybody knows I'm talking about the Dixon melons. Then I don't have to pay FUTA. But really, realistically, pretty much everybody else pays FUTA. And it includes everybody, ag, household, part-time, temp, blah, blah, blah. Employees, if your employer pays FUTA, then you're covered under FUTA. And there's a whole laundry list of specific exemptions. There shouldn't be anything too crazy here. We've seen this before. A lot of you missed that first bullet, though, on a piece of homework, I think in chapter 3 or 4. Is a partner in a partnership an employee? No. And it's beyond our scope because it's an income tax provision. But a partner in a partnership does not pay employment taxes. Okay, so you don't pay food on them. You can read the rest of these. You've seen most of these.
What if your business was like all comprised with partners?
Well, you would have had to set up your partnership agreement with the state to do that.
Yeah.
So that's not untenable that maybe the 12 of us decided to partner in some sort of software business, right? And that's viable. Let me make sure you understand this. You're not getting out from underneath these taxes. You're going to pay them with the pass-through income you get as a partner. It just doesn't show up in the payroll tax returns that we're working on for the company.
Okay.
If you're a 20% partner, you're going to pay all these taxes on your 20%. I'm a 2% partner. I'm going to pay all these taxes on my 2%. It just doesn't, it's the partnership doesn't pay them.
Okay.
SUTA, same. I'm generally covered under SUTA if I'm covered under FUTA. And many states apply this ABC test. Read through those and tell me if they look familiar, and if they look familiar, where we've seen them before, what you think they are. This is basically what we've looked at in one form or another over and over. Independent contractor versus employee, right? Okay, so that's what a state's going to look at. Hey, you say, like I say, these guys all do tech support for me across the state, but they're not really employees. I don't want to pay suit on them. I don't want to pay workers' comp on them, blah, blah, blah. And the state's going to come in, and by the way, this is a much more common audit than an IRS audit. Again, because the state's so much closer to its employees than the IRS is. They're going to come in and they're going to go like, really? These workers aren't free from your control or direction. They have projects that are due every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Saturday. And they don't have other clients. And you provide them with the specialized staging server access they need to do their tech control, et cetera, et cetera. You're really employees. I really need to be paid suit on you. You really need to be reclassified. So that happens much more often than that vast federal governmental agency, the IRS. They're so frickin' far behind right now. And then with the government shutdown, they started into tax season understaffed, grossly understaffed. You're not going to get audited. I mean, you might, but you're much more likely to get an audit from this.
I'm like really curious how the company that I work for, like a lot, doesn't have to make us employees instead of in contract. Because like, you know, during the summer, we go out to this, you know, an area they pick for their convenience. You know, we have meetings every day.
They're a big national company, correct?
Yeah.
So, two things I would comment on that. One is and I can't really speak to it, but I'm aware that there is quite a big chunk of specialized legislation around direct door-to-door sellers.
I was going to say, that guy have lawyers.
That's it. And B, whenever you say, it's like, I still don't understand how Lee newspapers can pay their newspaper carriers as independent contractors.
Yeah.
My gal that throws my paper on my driveway on Wednesday and Sunday mornings at 4 does not have a lot of other newspaper clients.
No.
And she doesn't get to do her job how she wants.
She has to be there every day.
Right. So, my standard answer to that is always, there is some special lobbying group that has gotten very specially written legislation passed, and their attorneys, believe me, have read this inside and out.
Oh, yeah.
What happens when you work between states? This is a really big issue. It's not such a big issue now that the Bakken has quieted down, but we had a lot of employees in eastern Montana that were working between western North Dakota and eastern Montana. Where do I pay my SUTA to as the employer? I've got some rigs and some oil fields in Montana. I've got some in North Dakota. Where do I pay SUTA to? My employees go back and forth depending upon which drill's hot, right? So this is what you have to look at. It's called an interstate employee. These are the questions you have to ask in this order. I really am losing my voice. Where is the work localized? Well, in my case, that is not helpful because half my rigs are in Williston, half my rigs are in Sydney. So that doesn't tell me. Where is the operational base located? Yeah. I've got regional headquarters in Williston and regional headquarters in Sydney. That doesn't help me. Third bullet. Where are operations directed? Okay, I own the place and I live in Missoula. So that might stop there. But maybe not. Maybe my partner is North Dakotan and I'm Montana. Now you're all the way down at the fourth bullet, employees' residence. So I might actually be paying SUTA in 2 states. That is not desirable. It means you've got 2 sets of reports to file, 2 sets of SUTA caps to comply with. Very complicated very quickly. I just ran into an old student from 2008. She graduated. And I saw her at the Old Post on Sunday afternoon. And she's doing payroll for, or she was doing payroll for Who Hut. And that's actually an interesting story. They were a local company Now it's 72 franchises, a couple people from Missoula started the restaurant, 72 franchises all around the West. Damn, good job. She was doing payroll for people in 26 states. So that means complying with all their rules, all their sales tax rules, all their payroll rules, all their franchise tax rules. Yeah, 2-year degree, not making bad money, I can guarantee you, making really good money, in fact. And had just upped her game. She moved to another company that offered her significantly more. But payroll's really, if you're good and detail-oriented, she's making quite a nice living for a 2-year degree.
So when you go down the list of bullets, say if we go with somebody that doesn't fit in.
Right.
If you get all the way to the bottom and you still can't determine, is that when you decide, yes, you have to pay the bill?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The only other option, and then I'm going to give your test back, is if you do something called a reciprocal arrangement, which means that if you go all the way through that, and like say my employees, like are one of the guys that, have their tow trailer that go between the man camps, right? So they don't, technically everybody has to have a tax home. I try and explain this to my clients that are like backpackers or digital nomads or work Hawaii in the summer and Alaska crabbing in the fall. They're like, I don't have a residency anywhere. I'm like, yeah, you do. You've got to have a tax residence somewhere. Well, I live out with my man camp or on my boat. You still have to have a tax home.
Can I just get a PO box?
Huh?
Can I just get a PO box?
Oh, sure. But you've got to declare your residency somewhere.
Yeah.
They're obviously want to do it in a state that doesn't have state income tax,
Mm-hmm.
because Montana does.
Yeah. What states don't have state income tax?
Washington, Alaska, Texas.
No, why don't they just get a PO box in one of those places?
Well, you've got to, it's not just getting a PO
You
box.
gotta live there. So
You've got to have either some sort of family, property, bank account, plane tickets in and out of it that show significant stays, history, driver's license, voting records. I can't just pick like Nebraska. If you can't figure out an appropriate answer, you can, as an employer, try and fashion an interstate reciprocal agreement where I go to North Dakota and I'm like, listen, can I just pay SUTA for everybody in Montana, and then any of your North Dakotan employees can claim against Montana? And you can do that one-on-one and make memorandums of understanding around that. And that's common when you have a lot, something like the Bakken, where people are moving back and forth between states a lot. Okay, so let me shut this down.